Hi, Kimchi. How you doing, love? I haven't seen you in a long time. Just let me know if you can hear me. Well, you said hi, so I'm saying you can hear me. Hi, everybody. Hi, Tanya. How you doing? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the last edition of Sacred Conversations with Simone for the year 2021. This is the last interview because your girl is tired. I usually take these interviews up until, hi Camille, up until the end of December. It's not a top actually, it's a dress. That I bought this dress from a Haitian lady on Flatbush Avenue. Hi Chaz. This is my last interview for 2021 with Sacred Conversations with Simone. Your girl is tired. Yeah. And I'm tired talking about it, so I have to do some things to deal with that. So I will be ending Sacred Conversations with Simone today for 2021. I keep forgetting the year. And we will resume in 2022 January. By then I would have, I have a list of people I would like to interview, including Hungry Medium, who just joined us. Kind of just put her on the spot. But I have my eyeballs on her to do an interview. So I kind of just informed her of that randomly. So yeah, there's so many other topics we have to explore. And I need some time to really sit with these topics and reach out to individuals and really do a deep dive in the direction this life is going to go. Also, and I'm killing time until I see my guest come on. Oh, here she is. So I'll tell you guys the rest. I'll tell you guys the rest later. But let me just invite my guest here. Invite. And then I'll tell you the rest after our interview. Hi. Hi, Papa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's afternoon where I am.
Ooh, it's morning here. I'm not a morning person.
Oh, you aren't?
No.
Are you kidding? I'm up with the birds.
Oh, I'm up with the birds, but on the other end, like, at night when they start coming out.
Oh, no. The cock is crowing and I'm like, hey, what's up?
Oh.
I'm a morning person. But then at night, once the sun goes down, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go indoors. How have you been doing?
I'm good. I see you got a fresh haircut. What's popping?
Yes. I went to the barber someday this week. And I'm trying to grow my hair. Because I miss putting braids in. I love braids.
It takes so long to grow just
It
enough
takes
to
forever.
put braids on.
So he's working with me to try and like keep my cut current, right? That's the barber I have here. So I have like 3 barbers. I have 1 here and like 2 in New York.
Listen, a black woman's hair, I don't care how short it is.
Yes.
It gotta stay right.
It gotta stay right. I sent you a bunch of voice notes. I don't know if you had the opportunity to listen to all of them.
More than the one?
Yeah.
The 2?
Yeah.
No, I was asleep.
No, that was just now actually, before we started.
Oh.
So I didn't get the chance to read your book. I ordered the book thinking I would have been back in New York in time to get the book, read the book, and fully prepare. So I did not read the book. I read, however, the preface, right? And I had to pause several times. And then I think I read chapter 1. And then I had, it was, I don't want to use the word triggering. I don't want to use that word. I think sometimes that word is too heavy for me. Let me not speak for everybody else.
Right.
Me. It wasn't triggering. Maybe it was. I'll tell you why. Because recently I've been having my own heart issues. Right? We've figured out what it is, but it actually has been attached to something spiritual.
Of course.
Right? So basically the 2 times it happened, something spiritual was going on regarding me, and it was like an alert going off, a red flag going off, right? So it seems as if now spiritually, when they know I don't want to hear what they have to say, they do this thing with my heart. Yeah. And the first time it happened, I was laying on the couch and I was like, what the hell is going on? And it was just, my heart was beating insane, just crazy. And the Spirit said to me, we need you to see something. And I knew immediately what the subject matter was. And I was like, I don't want to see this. Give me a break. Right? I've been dealing with this same topic for years. Give me a break. Deal with it for me. And I laid on that couch and my heart was going my heart was doing all kinds of madness. And I was just breathing in and out. When I should have called 911. I should have called 911 because there was a situation happening, right? And so then they revealed to me what was happening. I was like, oh God.
Like that again?
I'm like, again? Like just, you know? And so I did what virtual I had to do. And mainly a return to sender. And that took care of that. Then a few days later, it happened again, and then it happened again, and then I was like, one night, my girlfriend, who's a doctor, she's like, Simone, you gotta go to the emergency room. I ended up at the emergency room. No, I didn't get there yet. I went to the doctor, and something did come up, and my doctor chastised me. She says, you've been walking around with this for weeks. She was hopping mad. And this wasn't my regular doctor. This was a standing person because my regular doctor was on vacation, and another Black woman. And she's just looking at me like, you can't be serious. Right?
The things we endure.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's the second time it happened to me. I was here in Barbados and I ended up back in the emergency room again. And then another spiritual thing was happening. And I was ignoring it. And they forced me to see it. And I saw everything unfolding, what the person was doing, everything. And I was like, okay, so this is your new way of telling me the things I don't want to deal with. You're going to put pressure on my heart and force me to look at them. Right? So I says, okay, I get it. So in reading your introduction is what I read. That it was like I had to take several pauses, and at one point I was in my mother's living room and I laid on the floor.
Yep.
I laid on the floor. So she was looking for me. She's like, Simone, I'm seeing your leg, but I'm not seeing you. I was like, Mommy, I'm on the floor. She said, what are you doing down there? She says, Marie. She says, it's okay. I literally was on the carpet. And then I would read a little bit and I'll put it down. And then I'll read a little bit and I'll put it down. And I was like, there is no way I would have been prepared like days in advance for this discussion with you. this would have had to be with me on and off with this book, simply because it felt personal.
Yep.
So, and I sat with that and I said, which I'm going to start to ask you your questions, because I cannot imagine, I can't even fathom what you went through. And you talked about the cliches. You talked about people saying you're a miracle. You talked about people saying, well, God needed you to be here. You like people telling you these cliches. And for me, I remember just a few hours ago, an older woman came to me in spirit and she says, I would like to meet her because I want her to touch me. Yes, the spirit said, I would like to meet her. I want her to touch me because she got God in her veins, Simone. This was a spirit that came and talked to me. It was a woman, it was an older woman, had to be like in her 80s, this spirit. And she says, I want her to talk to me. I want her to touch me. Because the woman was expressing that touch would feel as if you are, because she was so close to God. If that makes sense.
I'm still, I guess, getting out of my head enough to let that intuition take over and understand when things like that happen. But the first thing that came to mind when you said that just now is, oh, because I've heard from different, when I got my rate, let me go back. When I got my attunement to Reiki Master, the woman that did it was a medium. And she came to me multiple times during that, during like a 3-day period, and said, you have a lot of people around you. You have a lot of spirits around you. Do you do mediumship? Do you know anything about this? And so when you say that, I'm like, okay, so that's another spirit or energy that's drawn to me that that I'm still learning how to deal with. Mm-hmm. And also sending the ones back that are not necessarily all that benevolent, and also creating boundaries. So I'm still learning all of that. Okay. But apparently it's been rolling with me for a minute and I ain't even know.
Yeah. So we've gone right into this discussion. Like, what are they talking about? What happened to her?
Oh, yeah, right. Just a couple of things, you know.
Yeah, well, one thing, I'm not Oprah. So, yeah, although someone said,
I don't get a car, I don't get a house.
Right. Someone sent me a note the other day. She's online too. She says, Simone, you need to do the Iala Fix My Life series now. I'm like, oh my gosh. So
we all need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what about this decade. It just feels intense. But anyhow, we'll talk about that offline. 3 surgeries, 3 heart surgeries. Is 3 you had?
Yes.
3 heart surgeries. She had 3 heart surgeries. 3 times they had to bring you back to life. 3 times?
3 times.
3 times. And is that number significant spiritually to what you went through?
3 always comes up. But very specifically, the book that I wrote, and I kind of talk about this maybe in the introduction or maybe in a chapter 1, that I started this book, I don't know, months and months before this happened. And when I recognized this toxic belief that I had about myself, and I declared that I choose the death of that toxic belief. I choose the death of my former self that believed that about myself. I said I choose death 3 times. And that's how many times I died. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. Did I invoke this in order to to move to this next phase of my life, to move into this next thing. I mean, the fact that it's 3, I think about Eshu, I think about Ogun, my heart, I think about all of those things. 3 is something that, and I'm sure there's much more to that, but even in numerology, 3 is that true first number, that true number of manifestation and creation. So it's almost like I was reborn, and I had to go down 3 times to come back. But also I was being a little hard-headed, so it took 3 times to like soften all that up too.
And even the Christians will say to you, the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Yes. So that 3 is real.
Yeah, and then when I don't know why this came to me. When I was reading that, I don't even know. I think I got to write a book about reading your book. And in the voice notes, you're going to go back and listen to those voice notes I sent to you in IG, right?
Okay. Yep.
Whereas I said, which no, it just slipped my mind. But anyhow, when I was reading that, I think it's the introduction I got to, which I thought I printed, but I didn't. I just heard the phrase, touch the hem of her garment. And it was like so many, you've heard that phrase before?
Yeah, like in the Bible.
Like Jesus, yes.
Yeah.
It was like all of these, I don't know why it was a biblical energy I was feeling in reading that short snippet at the beginning of your book. And I just felt like I needed to go to church. It just felt as if when Christians talk about seeing the Holy Ghost and feeling the Holy, I feel as if you actually went there. Do you think that, and this is just random questions coming from a random woman. Again, I'm not Oprah, right? Let me just say that. When this happened to you, and we talk about ancestral memory, right? Mm-hmm. Did you get something when you went there and brought it back with you? And if I'm being invasive in answering that question, you don't want to answer, that's fine. But did you get something?
So, I mean, and people ask me that just because of that idea of you've died, and come back. And the thing is, it's been 4 years, and I'm still getting through layers of stuff. Almost the whole first year was just getting the anesthesia and the morphine out of me so that I could be clear enough to even recall things. But I definitely came back with something, but it's not anything that I can articulate or that I even could recognize at first, because everything I experienced was so traumatic. What my surgeon said is the surgeries themselves was one of the most significant assaults on the body that a body can take, just the surgery that was necessary to save my life. And so there was a lot of healing and recovery from that. But in general, the way I describe it to people is the feeling of, and you may have heard me say this before, when you were a little kid and you're outside playing, maybe with your cousins or friends, and your mother overhears you maybe cussing or saying something that was like not reflective of how she wanted her daughter to behave, and you got called in the house and told a thing or two how to behave and got reprimanded and then sent back outside to play. That's what I felt like. Like I got snatched up and told, get your life in alignment, do what you came here to do, stop tripping, stop playing small, stop doing all of these things that bring you pain, that bring you toxicity, that bring you all of these things that are painful to you, and then go back and live the life that you're supposed to live. Go back and do the things that you are here to do and stop playing. And we're not playing with you. If we got to spank you, we're going to do it again. That's what I came back, but it wasn't a word or a scene. It was a feeling that I came back with, like, okay. And it took 3 times.
And I know some of my spiritual sisters on the line gonna be like, Simone, you know better. But I need to say it. Why they gotta be so dramatic with us? Why do they have to put us? And I think Hungry Medium will understand what I'm saying. Why does it have to be this? And I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for you too. We ain't bad people. We haven't been out there like killing people off, you know, doing a Hitler number, white supremacy. Like we
I don't
being
even be out there
Karen.
lying.
Like
I don't even be out there
you can.
lying. I be like, it's people lying their ass off about
Eh,
everything in their life. What?
Why do you have to be so? And I ask these questions in my prayers when I'm sitting with my ancestors, when I'm having conversations with them in my dreams. Why do you have to be so dramatic with me? Yes, I could be hard-headed. Yes, I could be disobedient. I come around. I get to the realization.
You know, it's funny. So I got a semi answer to that yesterday when I was watching a Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be weird. So I'm on my second binge watching of Lucifer.
Mm-hmm. Oh Lord.
Yeah, and the therapist told him God did not cast you out for punishment. He blessed you and gave you his most difficult assignment.
Amen.
And I was like, well, damn, is that why I had to go through shit? Because I had to do the most, I'm here to do some difficult shit. And so in order to do the difficult shit, I have to go through some difficult shit so I know what I'm talking about. But damn, but really though? But it's also in that moment, and I'm not comparing myself to the devil or Lucifer or anything like that, but just as a spirit that's gone through some things. Would I be able to say what I say now and start to think how I think now if I hadn't been through that? And maybe it's changing how I think, because I hear that from EFA every month. Changing how I think, maybe it's changing how I think about some of that. I mean, I definitely see it as a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
When people say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm like, I mean, I wish it could have been a different way, but I'm thankful that I made it through, not necessarily sorry that it happened. Because it clearly had to happen. Even when I look at my numerology and essence cycles and all of that, death was surrounding me. An ending was surrounding me. Something had to happen in my 45th year.
Oh.
And since it had to happen, and that was when since it had to happen, I'm glad and happy and blessed and thankful that all of the other entities and whatever positive work I've been doing was with me to bless me through that, to make it through. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm with you. I'll be like, damn, why gotta be so hard? Why? And that aside, but like even other smaller things that happen, it just be like, can we just get some smoothness? Oh, that's not how that works? Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. Sonia says here on the live that we are held to a higher standard than others. I know. I heard those. Listen, I get it. Right? But when you are in the middle, these cliches, and this is why I stopped talking to people, right? Because I know my tongue is getting pretty sharp, and I know everybody's trying their best with me. So I just take deep breaths and just stay in the corner for a little bit, because you're like rolling through these things. She says something else. I don't want to miss what she says. She says, like Baba said, this is her spiritual father. Some have come to bystand and others have come to do. If you have come to do, then you must do. You cannot stay idly by. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
And it is part of our work. And,
yep.
and funny, Ababa told me that too. He says, Simone, you gotta go through these things. Because when people come to you for readings and to understand why their life is going in this direction, you've had a little piece of that action yourself. So you kind of went through it and felt it and saw it, and you can guide them through the process.
Yep. when I look back at my life and I kind of went through this, I mean, 2020 and 2021 as well, just kind of took you there into deep places in yourself to understand things on a whole other level. And what I've come to realize is that, with this 3 times dying and coming back, and, even dealing with depression and anxiety most of my life, and just everything that I've experienced in different ways, it's been the cycle of going into the pits and then coming back out, going down and coming back out. And this hero or Shiro's journey, this thing that we have been as Black women been doing, I mean, hero's journey, whatever, they took it from Shiro's journey. This thing that we've been doing of having to go into the depths of ourselves, into the depths of the shadows and come back out. I'm like, damn, have I just become really proficient at that shit? I was like,
And
okay,
I asked
so
myself, do I now become immune to pain? When this thing is, because I realize when people doing certain things to me now, I'm like, God bless you. All right, you'll be fine. The ancestors can take care of it. I am, and I don't know if it's old age, could be, as a piece of it. Maturity, spiritual maturity, you know. But now I also wonder, is it like, am I not sitting in it when these things happening and be like, okay, why is this happening? And then another voice will say, child, listen, that ain't nothing for you to sit in. We did that work already. It's just passing through right now. Let it go.
Now, see, that part I'm still working on, because it's starting to accelerate now. The working on a part, because there's a part of me, because as an overthinker, as a recovering overthinker, that sitting in it has been my survival most of my life.
Right.
Has been the way I dealt with all of these things and thoughts and feelings and emotions that would just come at me that I didn't even understand, that now I'm understanding they weren't even freaking mine. But I would just sit and ruminate, like, why would a person do that? I've done nothing to you. I've only tried to support you. Why would you hurt me? Or why would you do that thing? Or why would you lie? Or why would you betray? And really just try to understand the things that people do. But more than that, then try to change what they're doing. And that's the control part. That part I really, really, truly had to let go. Like, people going to do what they do. I'm not, my eyes on my own mat, as my Bible will say, eyes on your own mat. And that is a significantly difficult thing to do, at least for a person with my constitution, because I'm always like, but I want to help. But then that help slides over into control, and then it ain't good for nobody.
Nobody.
And so I have to like bring that back. But it's this whole thing is a process, and that experience and those three deaths and all of that, I did not, when I wrote the first chapter of the book, before the heart stuff happened, before the surgeries and all of that, I didn't know where the book was going. It was really a book about my journey on weight loss. But where I ended up going after the surgeries, and there was a couple of ancestors, and I say a couple because I feel like it was more than one, but I know one for sure that was all up in it and still writes with me. I didn't know that this is where the book was going to go. Where, just really going into ancestral memories. And it wasn't until you articulated it as ancestral memories, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was. And even though I talk about epigenetics and the things that are in our cells, in our body, that, and the heart issues that we're dealing with, that's from fibroid tumors, or all the breast cancer, all of the things that Black women deal with. There's a lot of pain and trauma that we have dealt with for centuries, and that shit did not go away.
No, it did not.
It's in here.
Because they were focused on surviving.
Yes.
We had no time to sit in it. We had no time to process. We had no therapy. We had no crystals. We had to survive. We had to make sure our children were fed. We had to make sure they pray and ask God for them not to take our children. So it's now like because we are in this enlightened period, doing the healing work for them.
Asha, absolutely.
And that is something that needs to be discussed even more. And I truly believe that will be the core of healing for a lot of Black women.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have come to realize even, because we talk about in Ifa, ancestral veneration, that's first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in some other traditions, the Orisha might take more precedence.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've come to understand, bit by bit through the readings, through introspections, through spirit letting me know, we're actually your first and foremost, your ancestors.
Yes.
And I realized that the Orisha that walk with me for the purposes of the work to do with my ancestors. Yes. Period. Dot. It's not, oh, I'm cute. And so Oshun is with me. No, I got some serious self-love healing to do for myself and for my ancestors and for women. And so who else is going to come through for that? Oshun is going to come through for that.
Yeah.
It ain't about the stereotypes and stuff. It's about what work you need to do.
Yeah.
And who needs to come through to exonerate and redeem ancestors that have been through so much, the good and the bad and the ugly, because we did some foul shit back in the day too. Mm-hmm. Shango going to come through for that. So that's who I'm rocking with, not because it's cute, but because those are the tools I need, which I'm still learning and understanding on deeper levels. But first and foremost is to do the ancestral work, period. Dot. Mm-hmm.
Woo. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my time with you today. I think I didn't get to read the book for a reason.
Like, absolutely.
Because you have to come back. Right? Because you have to come back, because by then, usually when I'm interviewing someone who's written a book, I've read the book and I have my little notes in the book, dog ears, all things, because I use the book. I don't like have a separate book, no. So anytime, and then you have to sign my book as well. But outside of that,
that means I have to come to Barbados.
Well, we could talk about that, because I'm trying to plan an experience next year.
Listen.
Yeah.
I'm in year 5 next year, which means lots and lots of travel and adventures.
Yeah. I'm actually in the middle of planning it. The place that I want to host it, they're under renovations right now.
That means it's going to be sparkly, new, and beautiful when we go.
Hey.
I'm talking about, yes.
So they told me December, so I'll wait and see and go up there. And it's on the other side of the island. It's facing the Atlantic Ocean. And that's where, our folks are laid to rest. Ooh. So it's only going to be 3 days, back to that 3-day thing that we'll be doing stuff, And yeah, I'm in the midst of pulling all that together. So
that's going to be beautiful.
Just make sure your passport is valid, please.
Okay, Ashley, I'm going to check that now.
Please, yeah, the passport has to be
because it might take a year to get correct the way things are going.
Right, exactly. When I read that one piece, it talked about you would immediately know when your body is shutting down. Is that the best way to describe it? That you would know something is about to happen and you would warn. I remember you say that you're feeling it happening and you told your husband it's happening, or you told someone.
The third time I felt it coming. All the first 2 times I died, I had no idea. But the third time I was like, oh, yeah. It was like something was pulling me out of myself and I was trying to hold on. Mm-hmm. I was just literally saying, I don't want to go. I know I don't want to go. And, but the first 2 times, if there was an indication, something in me letting me know it was about to happen, I wasn't aware enough to catch it. Gotcha. By the third time, and even now, I am so aware of all the inner workings in my body. I'm like, what's that? Okay, you're beating a little faster. What's going on? What do you need? And I literally have to ask the different parts of my body what it needs. Mm-hmm. But that third time that it happened, I felt it coming. And it seems like because I was fighting to stay and really just trying to I can only describe it as like trying to clutch the walls. Mm-hmm. And stay there. It took a long time for me to go and a long time to come back. And then I was back in surgery again not long after that. And the thing about the 3 surgeries is that The first one, so the way it happened was I had the aortic dissection and I had the open heart surgery. That was the first one, required, saved my life. Required to save my life, or I was probably going to be dead within a few hours. And that had 50-50 prognosis. And then the second time was, I don't know, about a week, 10 days later. A little bit longer than that. And then like a week or 10 days later, I died. This is the time when I just collapsed in the bathroom, and it was all dramatic because I was on the phone.
I read that part. You were on the phone with your husband and a friend in New York. You were
yeah.
all of a
And
sudden,
I'm hearing the story. I'm like, wait, really? And reading my retinal, because I had no memory of any of this. I was like, what? Now, when I go back now, I can remember being on the phone. But once I came into my room, I had no memory of anything that happened from there, because that's like not long after it happened. And so, so my heart stopped then, and I was on the floor, and then came back, and then I died a second time, like a week or so later. And it was after the second time of dying that they went back in and did the second open heart surgery, and they found a blood clot, removed that. And then probably a week later, it happened again. And this was the third time, and this was the time I felt it coming. And by then, I actually knew what had happened, because after the first and second times, I just thought I went to sleep and woke up. I didn't know it was like a week later and I had gone through surgery again and had died. I didn't know all of that had happened. But third time, I knew what had happened and I knew what was happening. And so after they got me, stabilized after dying that third time, then they went back in for a third surgery, purely exploratory, to understand why my heart was stopping. And my heart was surrounded by fluid in the pericardium, and they didn't understand where the fluid was coming from. So they were just like baffled. A couple of doctors were like, we went back to medical school on you. We took your charts home. And I opened all my medical books to try to understand, and I don't understand.
I recognized that too when I read your introduction. Or Spirit whispered that to me. That or ancestors, but usually I would assume with cases like yours, they're like, listen, let her just go where she going, because this don't make no damn sense. But I recognize that because at one of them, you were like 30 minutes out or gone or something like that, and they still kept going, looking for you, searching for you. Where is Barbara? We're not leaving till we find her. They found you and worked on bringing you back. And a part of me was like, well, I want to talk to these doctors and nurses. Because, yes, that is a whole ancestral penetrating that to say, okay, we're going to make sure that they don't walk away from this situation because she's coming back here. But I'm also thinking what it was for them that made them like, this is something we got to sit with.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously, yes, the ancestors showed up. Yes, they put it there. But then it also had to be a piece of them.
Yes.
Stayed with it. We can't ignore the energy of the human beings who worked on you.
Exactly. And here's the thing. It's been 4 years. Whenever I go, because I see all these different specialists on a regular basis, so I have to go back to the hospital. And since COVID, I hadn't been back. But about a month or so ago, I went back to the critical care unit where I was in there for 2 months, because I'd grown so close to all of those people. I mean, when you think about when you're in a hospital, first of all, nobody's in intensive care for 2 months. Usually a couple of days and they get you into another part of the hospital. They literally have stats that they look at on that. I blew all their stats. I knew every nurse on every shift. I knew every traveling nurse. And the thing is, I became close with them. And so the first year or two before COVID hit, I would go back and visit like maybe every 6 months or so. And when I would go to that floor, some of the nurses would recognize me and they would get on the intercom on the critical care unit and say, Barbara Pamplin's in the house. And like, it would be like a family reunion. straight up. And like now I don't see my surgeon, literally the man in the team who opened me up and went in and literally touched my heart 3 times. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see him anymore, but I pass by his office every time I go see my cardiologist. So I stop in there. And all of his surgery, all of his assistants, we hugged, we cried and hugged when I was leaving the hospital. And when I go back now, we still do, because it's like we went through that together. It's like, I don't know, being a soldier and going through war. And it's like, damn, somehow we all survived it, even though I was the one on the table. And so you're right, there was something special and unique that happened there. And I truly felt when they were saying, you're a miracle child, you're here for a reason, it really felt sincere, like they really wanted me to make it. They really were like invested in me. And they've said that since then, like, we're really invested in you making it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it wasn't every doctor. There was a couple of doctors that had to get sent on their merry way because their bedside manner maybe showed that they didn't appreciate Black people that much. I don't know, whatever it was, but it didn't jive with my surgery. And so I got reassigned to another doctor. But my surgeon and the pulmonologist, who was the intensive care doctor, who was like on shift to take care of all the people in the ward, those two were definitely in my favor. One of them is not out here anymore, but when I had an event like a year later to announce the coming of this book. And I had performances. I headed it down at the Langston Hughes Art Center, Performing Arts Center in Seattle, performances. And it was, you know, a thing. It was me celebrating me being alive, but also, I'm about to write this. Well, I'm writing this book and it's going to be launching soon. Mm-hmm. They came to that event. I was freaking shocked when the house lights went up after I finished doing and all the performances, and I saw them. I was like, oh my, what? Like, y'all came from Bellevue, which is like, you know, Sedity suburb, into Seattle, the Central District where Black folks at, and came at what? Oh my God. So not that it was like, I want to be clarified for anybody who doesn't know me well. It's not a white savior thing, but just the fact that, oh wow, we connected on a human level. That's what I thought.
It's a human thing.
Period. Dot.
Yes. It's a human thing. And so, yeah, I mean, again, it's ancestral intervention. Is that a new thing now? Right? Whereas they say, okay, we're going to get the best of the best for her. Front line. Right? And whoever shows their ass, we're just going to pull them out. It was just like they were there. I don't even know how to explain it. Let's talk a little bit about the name of the book.
Yes. So that I think I described that a little bit. Well, not a little bit, a lot bit in chapter 1. Mm-hmm. And so I won't go into the details of it too much, but it's more, I was on a weight loss journey preparing for, I've been on a weight loss journey my whole freaking life, but I was preparing to go to Brazil, and that's a whole other story. So, so I was losing weight, and I was doing these things, which, by the way, previously had never worked, but then I had my hand to be filed, and I was doing Ancestral work, and the weight was coming off. But I was not seeing any difference. The scale was saying I lost like almost 40 pounds. The scale told me, my clothes told me, but I looked in the mirror and I didn't see anything different. And I kept looking in the mirror. And so that's where, that Orisha walks with me. Oshun was like, I heard the words fat, black, and unlovable. That was what I believed about myself. And it didn't matter what I looked like, what the external experience of my life was like. That was what I believed. So that was what I saw. And then followed right after, I heard beautiful, powerful love. So I heard the shit that I had accepted as truth, which was a lie. And I heard the actual truth. And then the work became, how the fuck do I bridge that gap? And I hope I can cuss on this because I cuss.
Oh, yeah. That's why they say Oprah.
Oh, there you go. Because I ain't trying to cross. I'm not trying to, what is it? When you got mainstream, yeah, no. So when I look at that, and I struggled with that title, And I remember talking with a woman here in Seattle who was a writing coach just when I was like in the early idea stage of it. And she said, no, you got to have that as your title. It's provocative and it's the truth. It's who you were. So just hearing her, another Black woman say, it's okay, you can go there. Then I was like, okay, screw it, I'm going to go there. And it's difficult. And I find that even reading the title, when we talked about at the beginning, you said that word triggering. It's triggering for a lot of Black women to even read the title because it's saying something unspoken that, you know, whether you have been overweight or not, whether you've had a problem with your skin tone or color, either your experience of it or your treatment, or just have not felt worthy, some aspect of that fat, Black, and unlovable, almost every Black woman can relate to.
Yeah.
And even if you take away the words themselves, the idea of toxic beliefs that you have been programmed into from your society, from media, from family, from all the things, to the actual truth of who you are, that's the formula of that title, toxic belief to truth. And how in the book and everything that I'm doing and all the books that are to come, all the work that is to come is about making that gap, letting that old person that believed that trauma and that bullshit die without actually dying, because nobody else needs to go through what I went through, and then get into the actual truth, which is we aren't just lovable, we are love.
Yeah, we
and
are.
you know, I can say that I'm still working on believing it fully myself. But
We
the
all
more
are
of us
work in progress. You know, we
yes.
overcome one thing and then recognize that, oh, this is another thing that I need to work on, because we're still alive and we're
Yes.
changing and we're experiencing things with our bodies, with our families, with work, with our spirituality. So there'll always be something to work on.
Yes.
Right? And you could be initiated 10 times, you could go a zillion times for readings. It's something you will always have to sit with.
Yep.
Right? And I had to come to that realization too, that, you know, you done pass one thing, something else might come along, but you'll deal with it different because you've established certain tools that work for you.
That part.
So for sure, writing works for you. What are some other things that is comfortable enough for you to share with us while you were healing? What other modalities did you incorporate?
Ooh, Pilates.
Nice.
Was a big thing because obviously I was in physical therapy for about 6 months because lost so much muscle. I lost like 30 pounds and it was all muscle. So I was the skinny person that was not cute. Clearly I've gotten it all back now, but man, that was like that thing on the scale. But anyway, so I did physical therapy and then I went into Pilates, and the deeper I went into Pilates, I had a friend of mine that took me through it, and I'm actually working on or hoping to go back to working on getting to be a Pilates teacher, because Pilates is different than yoga for me. Pilates is so anatomically based. It is based on to be a Pilates teacher, you have to understand the anatomy of the body, both the bone, the muscle, and the fascia, and all the different tendons and ligaments and how they work together. And that's what I needed. And going through and doing Pilates brought me back into my body in a deeper way after being out so many times. And then, so now I can understand, oh, I need to use that muscle and not that muscle, because I know where that is now because of the Pilates training. And even those small things can help realign your body so that energy can flow. If we have been having bad posture and doing all of these things and repeatedly that have created imbalance in our bodies, just the very structure and muscle tone of it, that can help can stop energy from flowing the way it needs to, and stop spirit from flowing the way it needs to. So that was one of the things they've had me do and continue to do to keep me in alignment. So Pilates is one, a lot of breath work, obviously a lot of writing, a lot of going into nature. And when I say writing, there's different forms of writing that I do. Let me talk about that for a second. So I do Edwin free write. And so I started doing a blog, and I sit at my ancestor altar and I write 10 minutes every day with the point. Well, let me not say, they want me to do it every day. I've been slacking. I'm making it so that I do it every day. So I get it. And so, and I'll go back and read what I wrote and say, oh, damn, y'all talking to me, ain't you? And so that's part of it. But then also sometimes it's just, I'm having really heavy traumatic emotions. Let me just write, because it's got to come out somewhere and I don't know how else to get it out. Let me just write. And, you know, in those cases, I think ancestors kind of step back and just let me purge.
Right.
And then when I go back and read it, then it's like they came in at the end to give me the salve for the pain I was feeling. So, you know, and even writing, let me write about this ancestor. Maybe they'll tell me more about them if I just start writing about them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start to be strategic with that. Now that I understand that that's one of my things of how I deal. And a lot of reading, whether it's reading about Ifa or Risha and the different shamanism, just different modalities of spirituality. Because what I'm also finding is that my ancestry obviously is African. Being a descendant of enslaved Africans, there's European, there's Native American, there's Asian. So there's a lot of ancestral blood in me that's looking for expression, that's looking for consolidation, that's looking for, I guess, a new melding of something. And so I read and study different things to see, you know, what strikes, what comes forth, what memory is jarred. And the biggest thing I think I've done in these 4 years of healing, because it's still a process, you know, it's still a process, is let shit go. People, places, things, ways of thinking, ways of being, emotional hurts, because I can be petty as fuck.
Look, your sister here.
I could be like, you remember what you did to me 10 years ago?
I think we got an ancestor for that part. If you, yes, man. Because sometimes I just got to talk myself out of it. And I'm like, then I hear somebody like, nah, man, their body deserve it. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
We're growing, you know. We're now readings by Simone. We can't show that emotion. We can't. I just literally have to sit down and be like, okay, let me just keep scrolling on or walk away.
Yes.
Yeah? Talk
That
yourself
part.
to that petty. What about writing a play? When is that coming on?
That's interesting because I brought that up to, so let me see, hold on. So I'm writing shit. Are y'all gonna let me say it?
If they're not going, I ain't holding no legs for nobody today, okay? This is a rum and coke and beach day, so.
Exactly. Ooh. I'm all here in Seattle. I'm so far from a rum and coke and beach situation going on outside right now. You don't even know.
I heard.
Okay, so I'm working on another project with a group of sisters, and it's ancestral work, and it'll be published next year. And as a part of that work, you know, and as a part of my work with all the things I do, so I'm writing and I'm publishing and I'm working with other authors, but because of where we are and what things are in my natal chart and what I am supposed to do, I have to look at the traditional aspect of books, and I have to look at, so now we're in this age of Aquarius. How do we still honor the written word, still honor the printed word, but bring multimedia to it, bring technology to it, bring all the digital things to it. And one of the things I thought about, and I had mentioned to one of the sisters that I'm writing with, who is a playwright and actress, instead of doing an audio book for this book, we need to do like a radio play and bring it back. I'm thinking about, you know how Clubhouse is starting to do,
yes.
It's almost like bringing the old radio shows back.
Yes.
I'm like, what if we did that instead of, you know, coming together and doing a full feature video play, or being, and I say video because
they were doing that on Clubhouse with the Lion King. And they were
I
also
even know
doing it with Phila.
See,
At
yeah.
one point, they were doing, a friend of mine was part of the Phila piece, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, but they has some issues in there, so she's not a part of it anymore. And I wouldn't see it because I was only following it because I was following her.
Right.
But that is that I'm loving that idea of a radio play, because everything now is going back to audio.
Yep.
You
Yep.
recognize that everything is going
Absolutely.
back to just speaking and listening, because we're so focused on the mass, right? We're so focused on the pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's doing whatever needs to be done so they look the part. So
And
and,
these filters, man.
and the filters and the filters.
It's like,
So it
really?
seems as if the universe is like, okay, you know what? Y'all just getting wild out here. Let me just leave y'all in the house quarantine.
For reals.
Y'all just showing out too much.
Go sit
Go
your
sit
ass
down
down somewhere and think about yourself.
Right? And then here comes Clubhouse with just the audio. So you'll be like, how many times I'll be like lying on my bed, foot up in the air, having a major conversation about ancestral veneration. And I'm
I
like,
love that. It's like it don't matter what
right?
head
It
can
doesn't
be
even
wrapped
matter.
up. I can be still crusty. It don't even matter.
No. Yeah.
But the content of your words and your spirit will come through.
Facts.
So I love the fact that you just said playwright. So I like those confirmations.
That was one of the questions. It was like, tell her about the play. So there's a play coming. I want to do a time check because I want to make sure, because you need a few things to talk. Are you still going to read an excerpt first? Do you want to still do that or no?
Whatever it flows. We got it's 56, 57. So we got 3 more minutes if you want to end on time. And I will do whatever it is you like. Whatever
All right.
you
So
like.
there are a few things I want to touch base with, and then we can go into the piece that you're gonna speak on.
Was it the blog or a piece from the book?
You decide.
Okay.
Remember, I left that up to you.
Oh.
Our audience is like, they're getting all late. They're in their own living room. And like, we were privy to the previous conversations. So you're doing a new cover for the book, a new preface, a new audio book version. You're doing an interactive workbook, and 3 more books in production. I think you kind of mentioned the works for 2022 and 2023. So tell us what the other things that you're working on, and then I want you to read for us, and then we will say our goodbyes.
So I just relaunched this book, updated the cover and added the preface, like I said, because the thing is, and Ife, I don't know why I act like when y'all do readings, y'all can remember the reading like a year later for everybody you ever did a reading for. But anyway, this came through one of those readings that there's more work to be done, more writing to be done. And I kept thinking I needed to update this book and have a new edition. And they were like, no, you need to do it's the next book. And so that next book has started, and talking about revisiting the healing. It's really based on this concept of the spiral. And, I'm talking about the spiral and all these different aspects in math and nature, the Fibonacci and all of that, but also the spiral in my life and these things that have come back again that I have worked through and working through. And so I go into other areas that I was not ready to go into in the first book. The book, From Fat, Black, and Unlovable to Beautiful, Powerful Love, there's 2 whole chapters I took out of that book because my editor, who's a priest of Yimoja, was like, I need you to go deeper. I need you to say more. I need you to really explore this. And I was not ready, so I took them out. I'm ready now. So that's the next book. That's the follow-up from this. And then the other 2 are anthologies. One is the Ancestral work anthology. And the other is, I want to tell the stories of misogynoir and Black women at work in America. And that's also anthology. So I'm going to be calling for people to give me their stories, because this country has been built out of the wombs and the backs of Black women.
Black women.
I am not discrediting Black men, but I am in the body of a Black woman, and that's who I'm representing. You got your fights, I got mine. And so right now I'm fighting for Black women. Y'all do y'all's thing. And so I want to talk about that because from corporate America, blue collar, white collar, whatever it is, Black women been out there doing the thing since slavery and before. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell that story and the things that we've been experiencing so that we can realize we're not alone. So anyway, so those are the 3 works. The audio book is actually available on my website now because I wanted to do that and actually have that audio book of this book, From Fat, Black, and Unlovable to Beautiful, Powerful Love, in audio because it can be a difficult thing to read. And also a lot of people like to listen to their books instead of read the book. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to be able to have that as an option. And so now it is. I've been working on it for a few months. And so it's available on my website right now exclusively. And then I'm going to expand distribution to Amazon and all the other places. I am really trying to, as much as I can, do things on my website and distance myself from Amazon because I don't like someone else, it's like another shareholder, another sharecropper, another plantation owner. Mm-hmm. And, you know, granted, anything on the internet or digital is going to be based on some other company, but Amazon, y'all just going a little bit too far. So I'm just trying to distance myself a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I get it. That's where a lot of people buy their stuff. So it's always going to be there, but I'm having it on my website first. Okay. And then the workbook. In this book, From Fat, Black, and Unlovable to Beautiful, Powerful Love, I give some methodologies and frameworks on how to go through the healing and some of the things I did, and a lot of it involves some of the things that we just talked about. But how do you stay consistent with that? How do you actually lay it out to do it? Because I'm a framework, I need a lesson plan, I need a way to do a thing. And so I created this workbook, and it's interactive because there's parts where if you need to do a meditation, you don't need to like read the meditation and then try to remember it and then go do it. I need you to be able to click a button or scan a QR code and just hear the meditation and do the damn work. And so that's why it's interactive. And then also have a community you can go to and say, yo, I've been working through this one particular family story and it's really hard. Has anybody else dealt with this? And 9 times out of 10, there's going to be a lot of other people dealing with the same themes that you are dealing with. And if we can help each other, why not do that? And so that's what this interactive workbook is about. And I'm doing pre-orders for it now, and it'll ship in January. Okay. And then, you know, just check out the website, beautifulpowerfullove.com. I'm keeping that updated and with all the things that are coming, because I got more coming, because clearly I'm like, I don't want y'all to have to beat my ass anymore. So whatever I need to do, I'm going to do it. So that's where it's going to be on that website. And I should pick up the blog to read it.
Mm-hmm. So you're reading from the book?
I'm going to read from a blog post that I just did.
I didn't even ask the audience if they have any questions. I think people would like, and that was one of the things I said in the voice note.
Oh, if we want, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions for Barbara, you know, you can put them in the comments and I'll read them to her. But as we're getting ready to close out, please feel free to DM her here on IG. Tell them your IG name, please.
Beautiful, powerful love. Beautiful _powerful_love.
Yes. And I'll also, once I post this interview, I'll have all her information there as well. In the body of the video. So go ahead.
Okay. We get older, but do we grow up? I will be turning 50 years old soon. 50 is a significant age in my mind, not just because it's half a century, but because the number itself is sacred to me. 5 is Yeye Oshun's number and reminds me that life can be sweet like honey. In numerology, 5 is an energy of freedom, pleasure, change, travel, and sex. Add a 0 to make 50, and all I see is infinite joy, beauty, passion, and really great orgasms. Just saying. But even more than that, 50 represents family milestones in my mind. I remember when I was a kid, my father was excited to be approaching 50 as he went on and on about having a party on the 50th floor somewhere in downtown Chicago. He didn't do it, and I'm not sure he ever really intended to, or just really liked the running joke. But he must have talked about this for his entire 49th year. He planted a seed of excitement for turning 50 in my mind that is sprouting as I approach my born day. The other milestone is bittersweet but holds sacred space in my heart nonetheless. My mother transitioned from this realm on her firstborn child's 50th birthday. That was difficult for my eldest sister, but she has made her peace with it. Given how dedicated my mother was to ensuring her children were safe and secure, I see it as a completion. As my mother's firstborn, my sister turning 50 meant she was ready to be the matriarch. At 50, she had the life experience and fearlessness to continue raising herself while supporting others. Because my mother transitioned when my sister turned 50, in my mind, 50 means you are finally grown. But being out in the world and observing the human condition, I have noticed that being 50 or older doesn't mean you are mature. It doesn't mean you make good decisions. It doesn't mean you demonstrate humility. It doesn't mean you have integrity. You could have spent the first 50 years of your life not getting the lessons, not changing, not growing. You could reach the age of 50 and not have developed good character, or even worse, actively cultivated bad character. Good, gentle character, or iwapwele in Yoruba, is a foundational concept in African spiritual systems. We hear about it, the Iyas and the Babas preach about it, devotees talk about it and quote it. But practicing it escapes many people because life can be hard to navigate. Doing shitty things, ultimately self-sabotaging things, can be easier to do in the moment rather than the thing that supports the highest good. Sometimes the path to good character is through your darkest shadows, and that takes courage like a MF. So instead, people do all kinds of things not to deal with their shit and end up demonstrating bad character with no awareness or with justified awareness. Y'all out here talking about spirit told me when it's really just your wounds and trauma lying to you again. Y'all out here doing foul stuff to people talking about I had to take care of me. Y'all out here half-assing your responsibilities talking about I'm a free spirit. Y'all out here smiling but sending negative energy and being envious as fuck talking about hey girl, hey. Y'all out here trying to control everything and everybody over and over again talking about I'm stressed. Y'all out here claiming a level of spiritual development you can't even perceive because you're too busy making TikTok videos and posting filtered pictures talking about, I got 200 likes. It is said that even the most troublesome destiny can manifest a good life through good character. Deal with your shit, your trauma, and stop being an asshole, abuser, victim to yourself or others. In the meantime, what y'all sipping on?
And you can find that on your website.
Yes.
Yes.
Edgun Free Right. I don't claim that. That's not B right there.
I don't know if you heard me before you came on, but you are my last guest for the year.
Ashe. Oh.
I remember I had switched you because you were supposed to be on the 21st.
Uh-huh.
And then I asked you if you were available on the 28th. And we were back and forth with the 7th and the 14th. And then it worked out you are my last guest for 2021. The Sacred Conversations with Simone. And because I want to take December off. I'm not doing the Wednesdays on Clubhouse anymore. And I think that's where we met.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yep.
And I want you to take it easy as well as we close out this year. Because I'm seeing you have a lot of stuff on your plate. And I want you to take it easy. I'm doing this experience. I don't want to call it a retreat because that word is so diluted. Yes.
Oh, diluted. Yes, I like that. Mm-hmm.
So I'm creating this experience and I hope you can join us. Um, I'm looking for 10 people. 10 people.
Do you
Yeah.
know what month or part of the year it is?
Um, before June. Before June.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Between April and June.
Okay.
Between April and June. Before the island gets too hot.
Ooh.
Right? And because it gets late. You see me here fanning? Yeah. So it's an experience where we're focused on ancestral veneration, ancestral healing, ancestral memory. Everything is going to be ancestral. I'm not taking you on tours on the island. I'm not taking you to restaurants. You come in, it is spirit work till the end. Then you either stay on island if you choose to and enjoy the rest of the island, or you go back where you come from, right? So it's not a party.
Mm-hmm.
They know bar hopping is strictly ancestral work, right? Yeah.
I think I'm going to be there.
Yes, and I want you to be there.
I think I will.
So I'm putting it together by mid-January-ish. I have the full thing in place. Like I said, I probably would have had it by now, but I'm waiting for the place to reopen and see what that's going to look like. Plus, I also have to tour it to make sure it's in alignment with basically the vision that the ancestors have given me these experiences to be about. You come into the island on Friday and you leave on Monday. That's the piece, right? You come in on Friday. We're in a secluded. You don't leave the space. The only time we leave the space is when we go down to the ocean and we sit at the water and we do prayers and we give offerings. You know, I'm leaving folks to just be lined up along the shore and speak their truth to the water, speak their truth to the ancestors. And so I'm still in the process of pulling that together, and it's not going to be busy. Again, it's just ancestral focus. You know, when I've been asked so many times to be in on retreats, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I don't want to plan nothing, you know, just show up. But folks, you know, they go on these detours and create, they say they're doing one thing and then it comes into something else that is not in alignment with the work that we're doing. Right? So I don't want to tell anybody, well, that's not what it should be. If that is what you think your event should go in that direction, you can go on with it. I think I'll just stay here and not be a part of it anymore. So when I think Spirit allowed me to see that, to be like, you have to create what you want, what we want you to create, actually, right? So this is where this is going to be, and I really want you to be a part of it. To just have that experience, especially by the water. Thank you for being my guest today. Thank you for being my 11th hour guest. Like 2 weeks ago, we did it on Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Everything just falls into alignment with us, and I want to acknowledge that and recognize it. Because clearly, we have some energies and entities and deities and ancestors who've known each other before and have reconnected through us. And I want to give thanks and honor that energy, you know? Thank you for being here. Thank you for fighting. Thank you for not giving up. Because if you did, we would not be able to learn from your story. And I want to acknowledge the doctors. I want to acknowledge the nurses who stayed in the grind to like, no, we're going to be in here. We're going to be in here. And trust and believe they've learned something from that experience, how important their work is, and not to give up. Yes. And for those who walked away for whatever reason, we still thank them, right? Because it showed us early who they are and who they are not. And they didn't need to be a part of their experience, but they lost out. Right? Fully. So, yeah. I want to bring you back because I want to finish the book. There are a lot of things I wanted to touch on. I wanted to touch on what it was like dealing with family, dealing with husband, dealing with children as you heal, and that shift that occurred, that change that occurred because you were no longer the barber from before. So what was that, having to manage people's new expectations of you that were no longer there, like having to say, well, that's no longer me.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, you're right. That's a whole conversation, because I mean, I can give you a story from just a couple months ago in September.
Yeah.
And the surprising thing is, it's less them and more me.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be what I once was,
Mm-hmm.
but physically cannot. And then the emotions and frustrations that come with that.
Mm-hmm.
And when your little ancestor return, I keep pointing over there because they over there asleep. When your little ancestor return children truly become your guides, your parents, and tell you, we never expected you to keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but we can have a whole conversation. Yeah, that's a whole conversation.
Whole conversation about it.
Yes.
I'm also seeing you on stage talking more interviews, more dialogues. The work is coming. And I want to thank you for reminding me that we had that we had to have this conversation, because I remembered it. I remembered saying in Clubhouse that I want to talk to you and I want to read your book, and making preparations for it, then got deterred by something that I had to start putting things on back burners. So I just want to thank you, man. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for just like, I just can't. Reading that introduction, I tell you, I was on the floor.
Oh, and I was gonna say, the reason why I think it worked out the way it is, because technically it would take maybe 5 hours to read the book cover to cover. But realistically, that's almost impossible.
Impossible.
You're gonna have to stop.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to breathe. You're gonna have to give yourself. When I was reading the book for the audiobook, I didn't realize how hard that was going to be. It took a couple of several weeks for me to get through it, because every chapter I had to read out loud, being recorded. It was taking me back there, and I would have to pause and break and take breaks in between. Mm-hmm. And then when I had to review the audio and listen to it over and over again, I was like, okay, y'all making sure this goes in. So yeah, take your time with it. Mm-hmm. It's a short read, but it's an easy read, but not an easy read emotionally.
No, it's intense. And from just reading that intro, I stopped several times. I forgot where I was. I had to go back, read pieces again, and then stop where I stopped before, because I still wasn't ready. It mm-hmm. was a process. And like I said, I am nowhere close to the heart situation that you have, but it made me realize I have to keep and pay attention to mm-hmm. what's going on with me, because now the ancestors is using that to be like, listen, girl, we're trying to show you some stuff. You need to take care of it. Right? Yeah.
And that is a whole other Oprah Show podcast as well, because what did this, other than the whole older life thing, there's some specific things that were happening at the time that my aorta tore that is not lost on me. What was happening when that happened?
That heart chakra, yeah?
Child.
That heart chakra.
Child. That part is not in the book. It'll be in the next one, but it's not in the next book.
Yeah, and I had to come to it, because I looked at the situation I was in when my heart started to give me pressure, and I was like, I know what this is. I know what it is, and I'm working to get where I need to be so this does not happen. Don't you see me working? Like I have this. I'm like, don't you see me trying? But like, for real. I just appreciate you guys. You need to get the book, order the book. Follow Barbara here. I'm going to put everything. I'm going to post the video immediately and tag her to it so you can find her. If you have any follow-up questions for her, you can drop her in a DM. She will respond to you. And I'm going to be on your coattails, and wherever you are and whatever you're doing, just know you have my full support.
Oh.
If you need to be on a live again with me, just let me know. I'm going to switch things up with the live a bit. They haven't told me. I've appealed to them. I want to switch things up.
You've appealed to your board of directors?
Yes. I had a meeting, a sit-down meeting. I had an agenda. Like, y'all just piling on the work, but I need help. Oh, this has to shift, because people will think I just get on here and I prepare. I read bios. I ask for the bios, right? I read bios. I prepare questions. I share the questions with you. I talk to the graphic artist to do the flyer. I sit 2-3 o'clock in the morning talking to the ancestors about the next guest and where this is going. And I talk to them about who to invite to be on. It is a process. So, I'm enjoying it, but I need it to go to another level, and I need help.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So I'm still in negotiations with them. They haven't gone back to me yet.
I love that though. I'm gonna start having board meetings.
I literally
I
call meetings. I'm like, we gotta talk about this. People joke with when I talk to these ancestors is like an actual sit down, like how I'm talking to you, discussion. And I voice my opinions. I'm like, listen, this part I'm not happy about. What are we gonna do here? I'm only one person. So, and other spiritualists look at me like, that's how you speak to them. I'm like, look, you don't understand. But I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you agreed to do this sit down with me. Thank you so much. I want everyone to purchase her book. We are on here talking because, just because we cute, that we are. But you gotta
wait. It just clicked what you said.
Yeah, we are. But I still want to buy the book. Exactly. And buy the book and support Barbara. Thank you for supporting me for 2021. I will be back.
And beyond, because like you said, there's some spiritual connections we didn't even know.
Yes. And I look forward to seeing all of you in 2022. There's going to be an experience in Barbados. When I have all my ducks aligned in the order and the ancestors bring down the other piece of stuff that I have to do, I'll release all the information. It's only going to be 10 of you. So don't be surprised if you don't see it. That means the 10 has already booked and locked in. So I may not even advertise it.
You mean 9? Because I'm one of the 10.
You're one, right. So there are 9 slots.
Just left. 9 spots available.
And that's not included in the spiritualists that are going to be working with me while we're there. Because we're looking at mental health. We're looking at crystal healing. We're going to be doing some stuff on the water. We're going to be doing some stuff at night. We're going to have yoga in the morning. And the person I have targeted for yoga has this blend of yoga and Pilates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she created her own thing with that. So there's going to be, I may not even advertise it, because if the 9 slots are filled up, you're going to hear about it afterwards.
Can I just put my daughter on blast? I saw she joined a few minutes ago.
Okay. What's her name?
Deja.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Tasia?
Deja. Deja. Deja Maxine.
Oh, I see her. Hi, Deja. Let me wave up.
I just could imagine her rolling her eyes right now like, really, mommy? But you just heard it, Deja. I'm going to Barbados next year. And we're going to do the spirit. I love that kind of separating the spiritual work, but I will be staying I'll stay later. Because I have to turn up on Barbados. I can't just be there and not turn up.
Everybody was like, I says, y'all could turn up before or turn up after. And I could be a part of I may not be a part of the turn up before, but I could be a part of the turn up maybe 2 or 3 days after, because I need to come down.
That part.
Yeah, you did that right. So we will all need to come. So I wouldn't be surprised if people decide to stay longer. And that meaning that we could come to the other side of the island where the party gets kicking. Right?
I like that. Yeah.
So I will provide information for that too. It's going to be a full thing. I haven't decided if this is going to be a yearly thing or 2 times a year, whatever. I'm just focused on this one time, and that will be it. But thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
We'll talk soon.
So no more Clubhouse the rest of the year? What am I going to do?
I may drop in a little bit here and there, but that Wednesday thing.
Okay, gotcha.
That too was a lot of work for us. I mean, like I said, you know, we don't co-spirituality, myself and Ia. You know, we actually, like in the beginning, I mean, we got kind of comfortable with each other and knew each other's flow, but we would prepare questions, discuss the topic before, you know, we were fully involved, and that energy, you know? Yeah. So we're just going to chill out for the rest of the year, and then come January, we'll know which direction we're going in.
Yeah, December is that kind of year. Go in, the solstice, the rest, like all of everything energetically is saying chill.
Yes, correct.
Except when I turn 50, I'm turning up. I don't know what or how.
You have to tell me when is your birthday?
December 23rd.
So then you got to let me know where you're going to turn up so I could be there. If you're going to have like a public thing, like friends and stuff.
I'm saying turn up. I have actually no plans because I'm in Seattle in December. Where am I going to turn up?
So maybe you could do a destination something.
It's true. I feel like Barbados, when I go to, I feel like what I'm planning on, and I know I keep extending this conversation, my turn up will be for the entire year of my 50th year.
Good.
So the Barbados is part of it.
Okay, good. But don't be surprised if you decide to come back after, because this island is magical in itself, huh? And people find husbands here, which I can't figure out how they do that, but that's another thing. And and some people,
I'm good with husbands, but some little situations wouldn't be bad.
Right, exactly. You talked about good orgasms before. These people like, what are these two women doing down here talking about this shit?
Listen, it's healing.
Very much so. And your daughter is on this live. Like, oh my God.
Listen, she is 26. We have conversations.
Okay. All right. So let me go.
All right. Love you. Bye.
Love you. I will talk soon. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Blessings. Bye.
New Year. Bye-bye.